Friends, today we are gathering for the full moon in Pisces plus lunar eclipse, and we're also going to touch on the numerology that's happening this week as well. We're in an 8 week, 9 month, 1 year. So, on our last new moon, we had the solar eclipse in Leo, I do believe. So, yeah, it was Leo. So now we're at the end of that portal. Also, the end of the portal that opened back in February, March as well. So, while we are back into the eclipse energy, we're just like at the ending of it. So, now we're on the other side of the story, so to speak. So, yes, we experienced the new moon in Leo with the solar eclipse, and that energy really asked us to look at identity, visibility, confidence, and what might be standing between us and our own light. Now we arrive at the full moon in Pisces with the lunar eclipse. So, solar eclipses are always going to happen with new moons. Lunar eclipses are always going to happen with full moons. So, we've moved from beginning to completion, identity to surrender, becoming to releasing. And that's just such an important piece of this eclipse portal in itself, because becoming someone new isn't only about deciding what you're stepping into. Eventually, you have to ask, what am I no longer willing to carry? And Pisces is perhaps the perfect energy to help us out with that. So, what Pisces is really asking, because Pisces um, is a water cycle or is a water sign, and it represents the end of a cycle. If you were to look at like the sign of Pisces, you would see that it is kind of like it looks like a cycle, right? Because it carries the themes of surrender, intuition, compassion, forgiveness, emotional healing, dreams, endings, release, connection to something greater than ourselves. Pisces is also the final sign of Aries, and it ends with Pisces. So um, there's just an important part and significance in with that as well, because Pisces doesn't necessarily release by cutting something off. It's more like a dissolution, a dissolving of it. So think about putting salt into water. Like at first you can see it, then slowly it dissolves until it's no longer exists in the form that it once did. And that's just very Pisces coded. And tonight we're being asked, like, what am I ready to stop holding so tightly? Um, so this full moon lunar eclipse is happening technically tomorrow, August 28th. At the time of this recording, it is the 27th. However, let me just verify the time of its highest peak and all of that. So yeah, it looks like the wee hours of the morning, so just after midnight. Um, yeah, so that's where you will experience the lunar eclipse as well. So normally I would do these kinds of gatherings and ceremonies after, so that the energy becomes waning for a full moon, or as the energy is growing for a new moon. But I just felt it was really important to get the information out there before it happens, so that you have time to sit and be with whatever might be coming up for you. Because a full moon will um, illuminate things. So something becomes visible that wasn't easy to see before. And because Pisces deals so strongly with emotional and intuitive worlds, what comes into the light may not necessarily be something practical. It could be a feeling, a grief, an attachment, a dream you've outgrown, an illusion you've maintained, a story you've been telling yourself, an emotional pattern you didn't realize was still running underneath everything. So Pisces is asking us to feel what's there without immediately trying to fix it, because sometimes awareness itself can create the release that is needed. And then when we think about the lunar eclipse, it's the shadow crossing the moon, right? So during a lunar eclipse is where the earth moves between the sun and the moon, and the earth's shadow falls across the moon. And symbolically, there's something beautiful about working with shadow in a Pisces full moon, because Pisces deals with what isn't always visible, the subconscious, dreams, intuition, emotional undercurrents, things we feel but can't necessarily explain. So imagine Earth's shadow moving across the full moon, asking like what becomes visible when the light changes. Because sometimes we don't recognize something while everything is brightly illuminated. Sometimes we need the shadow to see it differently. So what can we expect with this eclipse energy? So eclipse period interpreted astrolog astrologically, there we go, as amplified turning points. And because we're at the full moon end of this eclipse portal, I would look particularly at culmination, endings, revelations, emotional release, closure, unexpected clarity, surrender, things finally reaching a natural conclusion as well. So something that started shifting around the Leo solar eclipse may make more sense now. Something you thought you wanted may feel different. Something you've been trying to hold together suddenly feels exhausting. An emotion you've been avoiding may finally demand to be felt. And I think Pisces gives us a really important lesson here that not everything needs to be fought for. Sometimes something ending isn't failure. Sometimes surrender isn't giving up. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is, I'm done trying to force this. But on the other side of that, let's look at the shadow side of Pisces itself, because Pisces is compassionate and sensitive, but sometimes the shadow can look like escapism, avoidism, martyrdom, victimhood, weak boundaries, idealizing people or situations, confusing intuition with fear or fantasy, and absorbing everyone else's emotions as well. Pisces can sometimes love the potential of something long after the reality has shown us what it actually is. And the lunar eclipse itself can bring that into focus. So you can ask yourself, like, where am I seeing something as I wish it were rather than it actually is? Where am I calling something compassion when it's actually self abandonment? Where am I waiting for someone or something to become what I hoped it would be? That doesn't mean we become cynical. It means compassion and discernment learn to coexist. And then we've got the numerology layers of it as well, because we're working in an 8 week inside of a 9 month inside of a 1 year. So we have eight with power, nine completion, one beginning. And sitting directly between completion and beginning is this Pisces lunar eclipse asking us to surrender. Um, so yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, because let's just talk about what the eight energy brings, especially if you're not familiar with numerology. This is about power, authority, leadership, responsibility, abundance, boundaries, cause, and effect. And the eight is fascinating beside Pisces, because Pisces says surrender, while eight says own your power. Those can sound contradictory, but actually they're not, because surrendering control and surrendering power are two completely different things. There are things we can control, our choices, our boundaries, our responses, our actions. And there are things we cannot control, other people, outcomes, whether something stays, whether something ends. And perhaps one of the greatest expressions of personal power is knowing the difference. So this week is really asking, where am I exhausting myself trying to control something that isn't mine to control? And month Pisces is like being inside of a 9 month. Pisces speaks the same language. Like they very much resonate with each other. The alignment almost gets comical because Pisces is the 12th and final sign of the zodiac, and nine is the final single digit number. So typically in numerology, it just runs through a 1 through 9 cycle. We do have master numbers 11, 22, and 33, but they always carry the undercurrent of their addition. So like 11 will always carry an undercurrent of the two. 22 4, or sorry, 22 will always carry the undercurrent of the four. 33 will carry an undercurrent of the six. So that's why when I personally talk about master numbers, I always talk 11 2, 22 4, 33 6. I never ever just talk about the masters alone. Um, but in this scenario, I just wanted to give you that background information. Like both the nine and Pisces carry completion and energy. They both understand endings, both understand wisdom gained through experience, both understand release. The 9 month says complete the cycle. Pisces says let's dissolve it. The full moon says see it clearly. The eclipse says something is shifting. So if you've been feeling unusually emotional, nostalgic, reflective, or aware things that feel complete, pay attention to that. And then this entire year, we've been in the 1 year. So the beginning, waiting on the other side. So underneath all of this is still our collective 1 year energy, which is about beginnings, independence, identity, especially identity, leadership, initiation, and choosing a new direction. So why are we doing so much releasing in a year that is about beginnings? Because new beginnings do require space. So things naturally need to come to an end. So just imagine trying to move into a new home, but refusing to pack anything from the old one. You can't live fully in both places. Eventually, you have to decide what comes with you. And that's what a 9 month inside of 1 year has been asking us. And this eclipse feels like a major punctuation mark in that conversation. So let's put everything together with the 8 week, 9 month, 1 year Pisces eclipse energy. Again, Pisces says surrender. Full moon says, let's see what has reached completion. The lunar eclipse says, let the shadow reveal what you've been unable or unwilling to see. The 8 week says, reclaim your power from what you cannot control. The 9 month says, complete the cycle. The 1 year says, make space for what comes next. So that is the story, not how do I make this stay, but what happens when I trust myself enough to let it change. And things that the collective may be feeling through this is heightened emotions, vivid or unusual dreams, nostalgia, fatigue, stronger intuition, old memories resurfacing, emotional sensitivity, sudden clarity around something you've idealized, wanting solitude, relationship realizations, stronger awarenesses of grief around specific endings, even endings that you know are right for you, an unexpected feeling of being done. And because Pisces can blur boundaries, people may also have difficulty knowing, like, is this mine? You don't have to absorb everything you feel around you. Compassion doesn't require you to carry everyone else's emotional weight, right? And let's just dip in a little bit to this beautiful tension between eight and Pisces, because this is actually probably my most favorite part of the energy that's going on in the collective right now, because eight is powerful. Pisces is surrender. Eight says stand in your authority. Pisces says stop trying to control everything. And together they teach that real power doesn't require control. And that can be a huge lesson for some of us. You can have boundaries without controlling someone. You can release something without being powerless. You can surrender to an outcome without surrendering yourself. You can forgive without reopening the door. You can love someone and still let them go. You can grieve something and still know it needed to end. And that can be incredibly mature power. So, the central question of this eclipse is, if the Leo eclipse asked, what has been eclipsing my light? I think that the Pisces lunar eclipse asks, what am I finally willing to surrender so I don't have to carry it into my next chapter? And surrender doesn't necessarily mean that you stop caring. Sometimes surrender simply means I am no longer going to fight reality, or I'm no longer going to fight what makes sense to me. I'm no longer going to fight where I feel I'm being led. I'm no longer going to fight against the things that just don't feel aligned with me any longer, right? So that's just a little bit of a very high level overview of all of the energies that are going on. And we're going to do a guided meditation now. We're going to do my surrendering to the water meditation, because Pisces is very water coded, emotion, all of that. And while these numerology numbers may not have a lot of ties specifically to emotion, it still supports, right? There are still support systems that are in place. They are still pillars of support to help us move through these energies. So, what I'm going to ask from you at this point is to just get yourself in a comfortable position, whether you're sitting, laying down, sitting in a chair. Do not recommend to do this while driving. So, if you are currently just listening while you're driving, then please do come back when is a safe time to do so. Okay, so I'm going to get some music going while you just start with breathing deeply, closing down the eyes, getting comfortable. We're going to put on some frequency music just to help relax the nervous system. Breathe nice and deeply in through the nose, out through the mouth. You're just really going to allow yourself to get comfortable, allow your body to be supported. Take a nice slow breath in through your nose, gently release through your mouth. And let's repeat that again. Breathing in and letting go. And one more time. Breathing in and letting go. And in this moment, we're just going to remind ourselves that there's nothing that we need to solve right now. There's nothing you need to understand. There's nothing that you need to hold together. For these next few moments, you are simply allowed to just be. I'm just going to breathe into that liberation of just being fully present in the now with our mind, body, and soul. Now, in your mind's eye, whether you see it, sense it, or feel it, I want you to imagine yourself standing beside a quiet body of water beneath the full moon. The moonlight stretches across the surface. Everything is still. You can hear the very gentle movement of the water and the floor. You feel the ground beneath your feet. Feel the cool night air. You are safe here. You are supported here. And slowly step toward the water. Allow it to move across your toes, your feet, your ankles, your legs. And just notice how the water moves around you. It doesn't fight you, it doesn't grip you, it just flows around you. Now I want you to imagine that you are holding a stone in each hand. These stones represent something you have been carrying. Maybe responsibility that was never yours, maybe fear, maybe grief, maybe resentment, maybe a relationship, maybe an expectation, maybe the need to know how everything is going to turn out. You don't need to decide consciously what each stone represents. Your body may already know. Notice their weight. Notice how long you've been carrying them. And just as you are holding them and noticing them, I want you to ask yourself, what is actually mine to control? Your choices, your boundaries, your actions, your response, your energy. Feel those things returning to you now. Then ask yourself, what is not mine to control? Other people's choices, their healing, their understanding of you, the past, timing, outcomes. Feel the difference. Power does not mean controlling everything. Power means knowing what belongs to you. Now look down at those stones in your hands and ask yourself, has this completed its purpose in my life? You don't need an immediate answer, just feel. And only if you are ready, lower one hand into the water, open your fingers, and let the stone fall. Watch the ripples. Notice that the water doesn't struggle to hold on to the shape of what entered it. It receives, it changes, it moves around it, and then it becomes still again. Now you may release the second stone if you're ready. Let it sink. You don't need to follow it. Now imagine anything remaining around you beginning to dissolve in the water as well. Maybe they're energies of old expectations, old stories, or old versions of yourself. You don't need to rip them away, you don't need to destroy them. Let them soften, let them lose their shape, let the water carry what you no longer need. Take a deep breath and exhale. Now look toward the moon. Slowly, the Earth's shadow begins to move across it. Watch without fear. The moon isn't disappearing, it hasn't been damaged, it's simply moving through shadow. Allow that to remind you that shadow is not the absence of light. Sometimes we move through darkness while remaining completely whole. Watch the shadow move and ask, what truth is this shadow showing me? Pause. Let something arise if it wants to, a word, a memory, a feeling, an image, or even nothing at all. There's no wrong experience. Now I ask you to bring your hands to your heart and silently repeat after me. I release my need to control what is not mine. I honor what has completed. I trust myself through change. I surrender without abandoning myself. I make space for what comes next. And take a nice, slow, deep breath in through the nose. Let it go out through the mouth, feeling all of the heaviness release from your body. Now I want you to turn toward the shore and notice something there, a pathway. You don't know exactly where it leads, and for now, you don't need to. Walk slowly away from the water. Feel the solid earth beneath your feet again. You have released something, maybe something enormous, maybe something subtle. Either is enough. Look back at the water and know that you don't need to retrieve what you've released. Your next chapter doesn't require you to carry everything from the last one. Now take another deep breath. Blow it out. Feel the physical surface beneath your body. Bring your awareness back to the room around you. Begin to move and wiggle your toes, your fingers. Take one more big deep breath in through the nose. Only when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Beautiful. Welcome back. I think Pisces does give us one of the hardest spiritual lessons that there is. You can love something and still release it. You can understand why something happened without needing to keep experiencing it. You can forgive without returning. You can surrender without becoming powerless. And you can close a chapter without pretending that it didn't matter. This energy isn't asking us to erase the past. The 9 month asks us to take the wisdom from it. The 8 week asks us to reclaim our power from it. Pisces asks us to release our attachment to us. And the 1 year reminds us that there is still an unwritten chapter waiting on the other side. The eclipse will pass, the moon will emerge from the earth's shadow, and perhaps that gets to be the reminder. We can move through shadow without losing our light. Beautiful. Okay, friends, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're catching this on the replay, if you would like to be involved inside of the Zoom room, then you can join me in my membership called the Cosmic Well Club. The link to that is in my bio, in all of that is there as well. All right, thank you, friends. Take care. And may this bring you relief and release as you move through. Bye for now.